back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news and update show. Lots of stories going about. It's just broken right now. Well, about 10 minutes ago, actually, news has just come out that Chelsea have now officially opened talks with Manchester United over Garnacho. So we could potentially be getting a Chelsea bid in for Garnacho. That could be one to keep an eye on. But yeah, I want to get into the news. I want to get into the stories because Carlos Baleba wants the move, open to the move. And United have this sort of master plan. INEOS' master plan is to go to the player, unsettle the camp, get the player to push for the move and get the price down. And that seems to be the operation with Carlos Baleba. Brighton want 90 million in a deal for Carlos Baleba. United want the player to push and get him for 70 million. United will need some sales to fund that, but Chelsea have started talks with Garnacho. Hojlund now could be leaving. United value him at £30 million, apparently. So updates on that. But the big story and the big update coming in is today an agreement is expected for Sesko. A Benjamin Sesko agreement is very close. So agreement is very, very close in regards to getting Benjamin Sesko in the door. We've obviously agreed a deal with Sesko. Yesterday we reached an official agreement with Sesko. We now need to reach an agreement with RB Leipzig, and we're very, very close to reaching an agreement with RB Leipzig for Benjamin Sesko. Like, guys, imagine if we pulled off both Sesko and Baleba. Wow. I don't recognise my club. I don't know what's going on at my club anymore. Like, we actually could be about to do a madness. Look, Sesko isn't over the line yet, but it's expected to be done. Then we're expected to go for Baleba. As Alex said, it's probably doable if we can, negotiate favourable terms, favourable payment terms, like instalments over a while. But Baleba would probably need to push for a move. We'd need to sell and we'd need to get good instalments for that. But yeah, the goal is just to get Baleba to force the move, get the price lower, get some good instalments, sell some players, bish, bash, bosh. I don't care if Onana's can go next season if we had Baleba and Sesko. I wouldn't care. Of course, Sesko isn't done yet. Baleba, it's about the price. It's about selling. That's a difficult deal to do. I don't know if we will get him. But yeah, some big news and big updates coming in. And I just don't... Look, I'm going to get into the news. I'm going to get into the stories. But I don't know what to think. Like, we've brought in Mbeumo and Cunha, and I thought, okay, that's great. And then we've gone and spent, 70 million on Sesko and beat Newcastle to it, just flexed on Newcastle. We haven't even finished that deal, and we're just inquiring about Baleba, who Man United knew was going to be at least £60 million when they inquired about him, probably 80, 90. We've inquired about Baleba that we knew would be near 100 million. And, some Brighton fans think Baleba will be even better than Moises Caicedo, and that says a lot. If we get Baleba, what would you rate the window out of 10? 8 out of 10. An 8 out of 10 windows Baleba, and the reason I can't go higher is because we do need a goalkeeper, but I understand I'm happy not to sign a goalkeeper if you get Baleba in, and because I don't think we've sold well. If we sell Garnacho for £70 million, I don't think we'll get that much for him, but let's say we got 70 million for Garnacho, I'd give it a 9 out of 10 window. But let's say Sesko, Baleba, and Mbeumo and Cunha is an 8 out of 10 window. To make that a 10 out of 10 window, you'd want a good goalkeeper and you'd want good money for Garnacho, you'd want good money for Anthony, and you'd want a permanent deal for Sancho. And that would be a 10 out of 10 window. Garnacho bomber. Everyone's saying Garnacho bomber. Is there a Garnacho bomber? Breaking. Chelsea have opened talks with Garnacho. That was what I said earlier. Is Romano, when you say bomber, I think you mean Romano Ornstein. Romano's confirmed that Chelsea keep working on the Garnacho deal, but he said that 100 times. Ben Jacobs has said Chelsea open initial talks for Alejandro Garnacho with the Manchester United winger keen on the move. Man United are seeking in excess of 40 million, but Chelsea feel the price should drop. 40 million is a joke. 40 million is a joke. Minimum. 50 million should be the bare minimum. I'm sorry, why are we looking at 40 million for Garnacho? Why are we looking at 40 million for Garnacho? Like, I know he's got attitude issues. I know he's a brat. You can't tell me that Garnacho is going to cost 15 million less than Madueke. 15 million less than Madueke. We were rejecting 50 million in January, and now we're like, yeah, we'll take 40 million. That's apparently we want 40 million for Garnacho. Seriously? United want at least 40 million. Chelsea think they can get Garnacho for less than 40 million. I mean, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. Chelsea have just sold Roja for 20 million. They've sold. How are Chelsea getting more money for João Felix than we are getting for Garnacho? How are Chelsea getting, I'm sorry. Okay, look, if someone said, if we get 40 million for Garnacho, we can afford Baleba, I'd be like, okay. Maybe this is why I'm advancing on Baleba. Well, we should be getting 50 million. We should be getting 50 million, bare minimum, for Garnacho. But that's what's come out. Chelsea have officially opened talks for Garnacho. There's also reasons to the price as a plan. Maybe we know that 40 million is enough to get us Baleba. Obviously, Baleba's not going to be 40 million, but the 40 million in pure profit we make on Garnacho, maybe we know that's all we need to have the funds to do Baleba this summer. Maybe there's a reason behind it. The fact that Manchester United are in for Carlos Baleba, the fact that Manchester United are making moves for Carlos Baleba, the fact that Manchester United are doing this and that for Carlos Baleba, knowing it's an expensive deal, at the same time, within less than 24 hours between Man United opening talks with Baleba, Chelsea are now in for Garnacho. Maybe there's a link. Maybe, yeah. I just think that's mad. I just think if João Felix is 44 million, if Kieran Dewsbury-Hall is going for over 30 million, if Roja's going for 20 million, and Madueke is going for 55 million, what are Chelsea on to think they can get Garnacho for 35 million pounds? Chelsea think 40 million is too much. We should be getting 60 million. If you look at the price of Elanga and the price of Madueke and the price of Gittins, Chelsea spent 55 million on Gittins that got 1 goal in the last 6 months and was flopping in the Bundesliga and couldn't even get in that Dortmund side. Now, Gittins was brilliant the first 3 months of the season. He was unbelievable. Dortmund changed manager, but then he couldn't even get in the Dortmund side, you know? But yet Garnacho, who's Prem proven and has performed in the worst United side ever, and in Maresca's system was, which is similar to Ten Hag's and how they use wingers, was fantastic in Ten Hag's second season. It's ridiculous. There's no way. 40 million just is a joke. It's pure profit. I just think 40 million with at least 30 million in add-ons, maybe. But yeah. They gave us Mount with 1 year left on his contract for 60 million. 60 million for Mason Mount. Madness. Anyway, let's continue on into some updates. Let's continue on into some stories because I've spent 7 minutes talking about Garnacho and I want to talk about Baleba. So let's talk about Baleba. And I can't believe this. I'm doing a live stream actually quoting Indie Callan News. Because he put out something about Baleba, and I thought he was just using us for clicks and doing nonsense. David Ornstein gave him credit for it half an hour later. Mad. So this is the guy that broke the Baleba news before David Ornstein, which I can't believe. This is the guy that broke the David Ornstein news. So we're going to get into the latest on Baleba. Thank you very much for the super chat. 40 mil, 50% sell on, and off he goes. Thank you for your service. 20 million in add-ons. There we go. But yeah, I know what you mean. So yeah, let's talk about this. Let's talk about Carlos Baleba. And then we'll talk about Sesko. Brighton want 90 plus 10 for Baleba. Manchester United value him at 70 million. If Baleba pushes the move, maybe we can get a deal done for 80 million. Baleba himself is reportedly planning to step in and ask Brighton to lower the asking price. It's a bold move, but will they actually? So, all of a sudden, apparently, Baleba is planning to step in and ask Brighton to lower the asking price. So Baleba could potentially try and force this move to Manchester United, which could maybe make it more financially possible for Manchester United. It was then said Baleba is open to a move to Manchester United. Brighton would need to significantly lower their 100 million roughly asking price. This could be helped if Baleba is vocal about his desire to join. The INEOS hierarchy see Baleba as a dream signing. And United are ready to push, but don't know how. But it's not an easy deal to do this summer, was said by Neil Candola. We obviously have Indy Calla, who broke the news before David Ornstein. This is a guy I would have never believed, but David Ornstein was giving him credit. I don't know if you've seen it. David Ornstein was like, credit to this guy for breaking the Baleba news. So now I'm listening to him saying that Baleba is reportedly planning to step in and ask Brighton to lower the fee. He could be helped if he shows the desire to join. Carlos Baleba didn't close doors to Man United after direct contact with camp. So Man United made some contact with Carlos Baleba, and he's not exactly turned us down. He hasn't, he's looking at it. He's like, okay. He knows of United's interest. So what does this mean? So I think Robbo's explained this well. I think one thing that Man United are doing under INEOS is this. We sought out personal terms with a player before even making a move. We didn't put in a bid for Sesko until we knew Sesko wanted us. We didn't put in a bid for Mbeumo until we knew that we were the only team Mbeumo wanted. We didn't put a bid in for Cunha until we knew we were the only team that Cunha wanted. Newcastle made bids for Ekitike, João Pedro. They made bids for, of course, Sesko. And they got rejected by all of them. We learnt from Frankie de Jong, and we said, you know what? We're going to wait until Cunha only wants us, and if Cunha only wants us, we'll make the bid. We're going to wait until Mbeumo says he only wants us and tells Newcastle and Arsenal, no, cool, he only wants us, we'll make the bid. We've done the same with Sesko. We got Sesko, Cunha, and Mbeumo to tell other teams they only want us, and then we make our bid. And the same looks like it's going to happen with Baleba. Now, Brighton don't want to sell Baleba this summer, obviously, but look, there's always a price. The right price comes in, they're open to a sale. Now, what the whole situation is Man United think if we can get some personal terms or verbal personal terms agreed with Baleba and get Baleba excited about a move. Now, Baleba apparently is only on 12.5 grand a week at Brighton. So if you even offer him 80 grand a week, he's going to be thinking, wow. So if we can get Baleba to agree some personal terms with us, that would be absolutely brilliant stuff. And then we will contact the club and all of that. So what we'll do is probably tell Baleba what we're going to do, tell him what we're going to give him, convince him about the project. Then we speak with Brighton. Brighton give us £100 million asking price. We say no thanks. Then we say to Baleba, if you want the move, you're going to need to push for it. Baleba starts to push for the move, see if we can get the deal down to 80 million. This is Brighton. They're like Brentford. They're not easy to negotiate. They always get big fees for their players. But the plan is to try and get a deal done, club-to-club talks, get the player to force a move. And there's now talk of Baleba himself planning to step in and get Brighton to lower the asking price after some positive talks with United. So Baleba could be about to force a move through to Manchester United, which would be absolute madness, which would be absolutely fantastic if he can do that. It would be an absolute madness if we can get Baleba. I've been going on about Baleba for months, and I said it's never going to happen, but I kept going on about him. Do you know what's mad? Is I feel like I've had good luck with this transfer window. I went on about Cunha since December. I went on about Cunha since December. We got Cunha. I went on about Baleba since about November. We're now in for Baleba. And I went on about Mbeumo since about April. I mean, I never really went on about Sesko, but the players that I've been going on and on about, we're doing work for. I mean, I did go on about Nori. We didn't go for him. And I did go on about Joan Garcia. We didn't go in for him. But the other players I went on and on about were Baleba and Mbeumo and Cunha. So, I mean, that's a good sign there. Alice, if we sign Baleba, do you think we could finish above Arsenal? All I'm saying is if Arsenal do not make another signing and have Martinelli as their left winger, and we bring Carlos Baleba on top of Sesko, Cunha and Mbeumo, anything can happen. Because Martinelli, I'm sorry, if Garnacho is 40 million, Arsenal should be absolutely doing everything they can for him because he's a level head of Martinelli. I mean, no. I don't think we'll finish above Arsenal. I think they've got too much stability, but it'd be funny. Finishing 15th and losing the Europa League final maybe isn't so bad. I believed the whole INEOS were broke gimmick. INEOS sacking all those staff members, finishing 15th, not getting Champions League football. I believe the whole we're broke, we can't do much business, we're going to need to sell to do business gimmick. I believed it completely. We've been fooled by INEOS. Because when Man United say they're broke and they've only got 50 million to spend, I just go, they say that every year, it's a load of nonsense. But this year, when it was said that Man United were broke, but they've only got 60 million to spend, I was like, okay, guys, we're actually broke. It's not Man United doing what they always do every year. Nah, we're not actually broke. But how can we afford this? People are going to be like, how can we actually afford this? And how can we afford to make this deal happen? That's exactly what we're going to talk about. So interestingly, there was a report that came out yesterday to say that actually Cunha counts as last year's accounts. So the first 20 million instalment for Matheus Cunha actually we've already paid, and that came as last year's account. So that doesn't even affect this year's income, but we still got to pay about 16 million on Cunha this year. We've got to pay, Mbeumo was paid over 4 installments, so we only have to pay about 17 million for Mbeumo. We've only currently spent 30 million on Mbeumo and Cunha because of how we're splitting the deals across 4 years. We managed to negotiate Brentford into doing Mbeumo over 4 years. So we've only spent 30 million. Sesko, I think, would take it to 50 million. I think the first installment for Sesko would be 20 million. So that takes it to 50 million. But we're going to get 40 million for Garnacho, minimum. So that takes us to 10 million. The money we got from Alvaro and Alanga's add-ons, if sell-on clauses, will then just put us back to net zero, I'm going to say. Of course, this doesn't count wages, but Rashford's wages are completely off the book. The plan is to get Sancho and Anthony's loans sorted so their wages are off the book. So all of a sudden, when you look at all of that and you look at pure profit and the wages and everything, if we do sell Garnacho, it sort of evens out after the Sesko and Mbeumo Cunha signing. Of course, these will then go on to the next year. We'll have to pay installments the next year, and we'll have to do those kind of things the next year. What I'm saying is, with PSR, that could even out. And then that puts us in a position where if Baleba's 90 million and we say we'll do this in 4 installments of 22 million, we could potentially afford that with Garnacho sale, potentially. But it will be difficult. It's about, for me, Garnacho sold, Hojlund gone, Anthony, Sancho off the wage book. Yeah. I also think maybe United know that obviously Casemiro, his contract expires next year, and Casemiro is on 350k a week. And when Casemiro leaves, the amount of money that saves us is ridiculous. So I also think maybe United are looking at Baleba and saying, look, we know that Casemiro is going to leave next year, so we might as well get Baleba in this year. We next year might, and I said this in my live stream yesterday. I don't know if you watched my live stream yesterday, but Ugarte could be pushed out next year if he doesn't do enough in his second season. Bruno could go next year. You know, I really hope Mainoo stays, and I think Mainoo is the most amazing talent ever. And I think we need to find a way to make it work with Mainoo. But we saw Man United, and I said this yesterday. We saw this time last year. We thought maybe Ineos would sell Rashford, but this time last year, Hojlund and Garnacho were seen as important to Ineos' plans, and they were like untouchable this time last year. Hojlund and Garnacho, they weren't gone. Rashford is gone. Our best front three this time last year, we could all agree, was Rashford on the left, Garnacho on the right, and Hojlund up top. That was our best front three. We could all agree on it this time last year, because this is when Ahmad wasn't really in the pitch. He was sort of injured, but we wanted to see more of Ahmad. Okay, that was our best front three. That front three could all not be playing for Man United next season. That's 3 out, 3 in, plus Sancho and Anthony out. We're now talking about next year's going to be the year of midfield. That could be Ugarte out, Casemiro out. Eriksen's already gone, so we need to replace him. Bruno could go. Mainoo, for me, you know, the project should be around Mainoo, but with Garnacho and Hojlund and Rashford, Mainoo's not untouchable. Maybe Baleba's the first midfield signing and the second one comes next summer because we need to rebuild the midfield next year. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what the plan is. Hi guys, how are you? How is Onana still at United? I'm going to tell you exactly why Onana's still at United. Manchester United wanted to sell Onana. Manchester United told Onana he could look for a new club, but Manchester United also made it clear because of Onana's book value, they will only accept offers above £30 million. Manchester United will only accept offers above £30 million for Onana. So, first of all, that makes it difficult. The second thing is Onana's on about 200k a week at Manchester United. Onana is on about 200k a week at Manchester United. So that's another thing that we need to look at. Not only would we want 30 million for Onana, but Onana's not going to leave Manchester United unless someone matches his wages. We've given Onana nearly 200k a week at Manchester United. No club in their right mind, other than Saudi, is going to give Onana the money that we're going to give him. You know? No one's paying Onana that. So the reason Onana won't go is because we need a certain amount of money to sell Onana, and Onana is not going to lower his wages. So unless Saudi want Onana, he's not going anywhere. So for me, look, Onana's a liability. I don't really want him in goal next season. But if someone said to me, you got a choice of a good goalkeeper, I don't know, good goalkeeper, Diogo Costa, Donnarumma, Emi Martinez, or Carlos Baleba, I'm picking Carlos Baleba any day of the week and looking at goalkeeper next year. Look, Onana's a liability, but look, Onana, Cameroonian, Baleba Cameroonian. Lenny Yoro is good friends with Baleba. Onana and Mbeumo are good friends with Baleba. Onana's our agent. You know what? If Onana staying this season means we get Baleba and Mbeumo, because apparently Onana convinced Mbeumo to pick us. If having another year of Onana in goal, but it means we get Baleba and Mbeumo, I'm all for another year of Onana in goal. Because if we'd have sold Onana and we didn't get Baleba and Mbeumo this summer, I don't think we're going to get Baleba, but we might be able to get Baleba, and he will play a part in that. Someone, thanks for the super chat. Ricky says, I bet we have a sponsor for Carrington opening tomorrow, maybe INEOS training complex. That'll be interesting to see what's happened there as well. Heaton is probably our best goalkeeper. Thank you much, Emily, for the super chat. The only issue I have with the Hojlund valuation is 30 million, is that his book value is approx 40 million. Yeah. I don't believe we'd sell Hojlund for 30 million. Unless it's a loan with an obligation to buy the following year for 30 million, because this time next year his book value will be like 28 million. Yeah, I think for me, I'd want 40 million to sell Hojlund. I think a loan might be the best bet for Hojlund, because if he goes on loan and he's good, we could bring him back. Let's assume, okay, Hojlund goes on loan, he's good, and Benjamin Sesko's good, and we get Champions League football next year, or at least Europa League football next year. Then we can bring Hojlund back to complete with Sesko if we're in Europe next year when we need 2 strikers for depth. And then if Hojlund's crap, well, then we can just look to sell him, because maybe there's an option or obligation to buy in the loan. That's what I mean. Anyway, continuing on into the news. So, we understand that to fend off Man United from Carlos Baleba, Brighton might look to offer Carlos Baleba a new contract. Baleba's at a crucial crossroad in his career. Brighton's eager to secure his future with a new contract, potentially including release clause that could be activated next summer. So obviously, for Brighton to do this and for Brighton to be considering doing this, clearly we've made Carlos Baleba think. Clearly we've got Carlos Baleba thinking, oh, I quite like this Man United offer. Clearly Brighton have a little bit of fear if they're looking at giving Baleba a new contract, a new this and that with Manchester United there. Baleba's probably looking at it thinking, okay, this is interesting. Do you know what I mean? I mean, honestly, what's happening at United is incredible right now. The fact that we are in for Carlos Baleba, I just, for me, even if we don't get him, the fact that we're looking at him makes me feel a lot more confident. It sounds weird, but there's so many times every summer we're like, I want Man United to get this player, I want Man United to get that player, and we never get a credible link to that player because we're never in for that player. 2 years ago, we were never in for Moises Caicedo properly, or 4 years ago, Declan Rice. We wanted these players, and United were never in for them, and then they'd go to rivals and they'd be really good. Just to know that Man United are in for the kind of players that we want them to sign, rather than your Mason Mounts and your Antonys, who I think a lot of us didn't really want Manchester United to sign at the time, is just good to hear that we're looking at the right players. So even if we don't get Baleba, we know that we'll be looking at the right players in midfield next season, which fills me, and I think a lot of other people, more confidence as well. I think Euro's key to Baleba. They were good mates. I think that could help for sure. I don't think we'll get Donnarumma because he's on ridiculous wages, and I think he's using Manchester United, like his agent's using Manchester United to get him the best deal. Should we get into the Sesko news? Manchester United and RB Leipzig are back in talks today for Sesko to agree the final package. Sesko agreed personal terms yesterday and will train separately until it's done between clubs. So as I said in my video yesterday, Benjamin Sesko and Manchester United reached an official agreement yesterday. Now Manchester United have to agree with Leipzig. Now the problem is the bid we put in for Leipzig is a bid that Leipzig would normally accept. And the offer we put in is an offer that we expected and we thought that Leipzig would accept. Because Newcastle overpaid by 15 million, thinking they could price Man United out of move and Sesko have no choice but to go to them, Leipzig now want a bit more money. And we're saying, well, look, he's agreed to join us. Newcastle are walking away. You know, lower the price tag by about 5 million, accept our bid, and let's be done with it. Now, this could drag on. This is Manchester United. We saw what happened with Mbeumo. This whole situation could absolutely drag on until the end of the window. Sesko's difficult to work with. Sesko's agent's difficult to work with. RB Leipzig are difficult to work with. But my whole mindset is Christopher Vivell worked at RB Leipzig. Christopher Vivell knows everybody that we're negotiating with. He worked with them closely. And Christopher Vivell knows all of Leipzig's negotiation tactics because he worked at Leipzig. He knows their plan. He knows their negotiation tactics. And Christopher Vivell is taking control of this deal. And I think Christopher Vivell will be able to get us who we want for... I think he'll be able to get us Sesko and maybe get them to accept the bid. That's what I think. That's what I think. I think Christopher Vivel, he knows RB Leipzig. He knows we've given RB Leipzig a good bid. If Newcastle never made a bid that was 5 million more, RB Leipzig would have accepted our bid. But because Newcastle bid so much in a desperation to get Man United out of the deal, Leipzig want more. But Vivel's working on it. He knows how they operate. I think the bid should be accepted soon. Someone says just pay the extra 4 million. You know, who knows? I just think put our bid's fair. Our bid, they would have accepted our bid a week ago. The bid that we put in is a bid that they would have outright accepted this time last week. But because Newcastle bid like 10 million more than they were asking for, they now want a lot more money. So I think we can negotiate it down. Some people are like, you know what? Just pay the 4 million. Just pay the 4 million and get the price down. A lot of people like that. Just pay. Not pay the 4 million and get the price down. Some people are just saying just pay the extra 4 million and get the deal done. Are you wait a week, save 5 million, get the price down because we're already overpaying by about 10 million for Sesko as it stands? Or are you let's just get it done today and pay an extra 5 million? Are you wait a week or two and we get them for 5 million less, or you get it done today and we pay the 5 million? What are you at? I don't think it would maybe take 2 weeks to do, but you never know. It's Manchester United. Continuing on. So this is one of the best Bundesliga sources, and they said this, which I thought was really interesting. Today, an agreement is officially expected to be made. Manchester United will win the race for Sesko. The offers from both clubs are roughly on par with a package of around 85 million. So Newcastle's first bid of 85 million, they accepted, not the 90 million bid, because they want Manchester United's 85 million bid to be closer to Newcastle's. But Newcastle were offering more up front, whereas we're offering 10 million at add-ons. Newcastle were offering 3 million at add-ons. So they accept Newcastle's 85 million bid, not the 90 bid, and we also bid 85 million, but Newcastle are willing to give more up front. And I think that's Leipzig's way of saying, well, we'll give you the deal, but we want a little bit more up front. That's what I think it is. So even though they knew that he picked Manchester United, they just accepted the Newcastle bid. Apparently Chelsea value Garnacho at 30 million, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. There's no way you can sell João Felix for more than you buy Garnacho for. Chelsea opened initial talks for Garnacho. Man United want in excess of 40 million, but Chelsea think that the price tag for Garnacho will drop after Sesko deal. Chelsea think we're desperate to sell and they can get Garnacho for cheaper. Also, reports coming out from Italy that Hojlund is now AC Milan's favourite choice over Vlahovic because Hojlund's on like 5 times less a week. Milan are trying to see if they can make a move for Hojlund. So AC Milan are in for Rasmus Hojlund, by the way, guys. AC Milan are in for Rasmus Hojlund. So that's one to watch. More updates from credible sources linking AC Milan to Hojlund, saying that Hojlund is now AC Milan's first choice. Chelsea have open talks for Garnacho. Chelsea have actually open talks with Garnacho, so that's something there. Yeah. And now we've got, obviously, today an agreement is officially expected to be made, and Man United will win the race for Sesko. So reports are coming out today that Manchester United are expected to officially agree the Sesko deal today. I think we can make an example out of Garnacho. I think we say to Chelsea, 55 million, or we'll just keep him and let him rot in the reserves. This is a World Cup year. Garnacho will want to play football. Garnacho, if he realises that he's going to spend a year rotting in the reserves, he will do what he can to make Chelsea or another club bid up for him. Garnacho is on low wages. We can use Garnacho as an example of clubs. If Chelsea come with a 30 million bid, we can say no, we're just going to keep Garnacho and let him rot in the reserves. He's not like he's on 300k a week. We tell Chelsea 55 million or they can F off. I can't even believe we're looking at 40 million for Garnacho. We should tell Chelsea 55 million or bugger off. 55 million or bugger off. And if they don't pay that, and we might lower it to 50 million out of pure desperation, if they don't pay that, let Garnacho rot in the reserves for a year because he's on about 50k a week and that's not going to cause us any issues. It's not going to cause us any issues. Our fan base sound idea is shocking. How can want to sell Mainoo? I don't get people that want to sell Mainoo. I don't get people that want to sell Kobbie Mainoo. If you can't see Kobbie Mainoo's talent, oh my god. Kobbie Mainoo has one of the highest ceilings in football, far higher than Garnacho. We just need to make it work with Kobbie and Amarin's midfield too. Garnacho originally cost essentially nothing and is on reasonable wages. We can take a tough stance. Exactly. We should look. I think we should be getting. I think the fact that João Felix is going for over 40 million and Chelsea pay 55 million on Gittins. The fact that Chelsea pay 55 million on Gittins, I feel like we should get 60 million for Garnacho. I know we won't get 60 million because of his public fallout with Amorim. I know we won't get that much for Garnacho. But that's my whole stance is. My whole sorry, what's I saying? My whole stance is just I think with the desperation to get rid of Garnacho and the public fallout, we should just accept 50 million and be done with him. But anything below 50 million is a joke. We should be getting 60, but we can accept 50. I think Mainoo is so talented. I think he's got one of the highest ceilings in football, but we need to make it work. He doesn't suit Amorim's system. And I think Baleba would be a good partner for Mainoo. Amadou Onana, Baleba, someone really physical, I think is the perfect partner to make Kobbie Mainoo special, because I think Kobbie Mainoo will be a special player. And I don't get why some Man United fans started to turn on him last season. Mainoo came in to Ten Hag's second season as an 18-year-old and was our best player the last 6 months of the season, was key in that FA Cup final, went to England in the Euros, and then the following season he gets injured, he's learning a new system in a midfield 2 doesn't suit him, and some of our fans are writing Mainoo off. It's ridiculous. Some of our fans are writing Mainoo off. Chelsea value Nicholas Jackson at 80 million. There's literally a report that's just come out that Chelsea value Nicholas Jackson at 80 million and Garnacho at 30 million. Which is ridiculous. Paul Madison's got an ACL injury, which is sad because World Cup year as well. He would have wanted to go to the World Cup under Tuchel. But yeah, anyway, I think that is all the news. Oh no, one more story. Guys, this is funny. Newcastle made the best contractual offer of the two clubs, but Benjamin Sesko still chose Man United. Apparently, Newcastle was so desperate for Sesko that they were willing to give him bigger wages than us and willing to break their wage structure for Sesko. Apparently, Newcastle were that desperate for Sesko, they were willing to give him higher wages than we were, which is absolutely mad. Now, Newcastle, watch a Newcastle United source brief that we offered higher wages, or a Newcastle United source brief that we offered him 250k a week. But we know from Romano that Man United apparently offered less than Newcastle United for Sesko. I mean, yeah, I feel for Eddie Howe, because Newcastle have been absolutely embarrassed this window. Absolutely embarrassed. There is reports that Hojlund could be on the way out with Sesko coming in. AC Milan are interested. We will leave that for a live show later today. But thank you everyone for watching today's live show. Let's go and raid the United View. Dylan is doing the What the Devil podcast with KG over on the United View. So go over to United View, Alice raid. See you guys later today. Bye.